Good evening and welcome to yet another edition of Radio Bridge, a program where we connect different stations of All India Radio from the northeastern part of the country and discuss issues that are common to the Northeast. Today, our topic of discussion is Uniform Education System in the Northeast at par with the Centre. And to discuss this, we have with us Mr. K. Inbaraj, Joint Director, Samagra Shiksha, HRD Department, Government of Sikkim from our Gangtok studios. Dr. Cherry L. Changte, Department of English, Mizoram University from our Aizawl studios. Mr. M.Q. Khan, Principal, Government College Doimuk in our Itanagar studio. And Mr. Shubhashish Chowdhury, Deputy Secretary, Tripura Board of Secondary Education from our Agartala studio. Well, education is the core on which an entire society and hence the entire country stands. Though education has been the favorite whipping boy in the country, not much has been done seriously towards modernizing education or even evaluating the requirements of society from time to time and thus designing education to suit societal needs. The disparities that exist even within a society, not to speak of the disparities within the state of the country by way of different boards, different languages of instruction, different cultural milieu and ethos, and many other differences, have often led educationists to ponder if the country should have a common uniform standard. And if there is to be uniformity, then in what aspects? Considering the cultural likeness and similarity of educational standards of the Northeast, is it more feasible here? To discuss these and more, let me open the discussion to our panel of experts. Let me go to Dr. Cherry L. Changte, Department of English, Mizoram University in our Aizawl studio. Dr. Changte, can you hear me?
Can, hi.
Wonderful. Welcome to our program. You are aware of our topic of discussion today. What I really would like you to start off with is your opening thoughts on this topic, Uniform Education System in the Northeast at par with the Centre. Just say in about 2 minutes.
I was thinking about this when I heard about this first. I was wondering, whether the whole thing about being at par with the center is problematic in itself as a term. Par with the center, actually mean.
That's right.
And so is it something that we all aspire to? And if that is it, is there some sort of unknown standard that, everybody has to uniformly ascribe to? But having said that, yes, it does no doubt that, there is...
Would it also mean that we don't reach up to the standards as of the moment?
Again, that's where I find it a little problematic because in terms of population, in terms of representation, there is already a very huge disparity between what we call, quote unquote, the mainland and the northeast of India. Yes, to come back to the topic at hand, what I'm thinking is that, the northeast tends to be looked at this region in a very homogeneous way. But, if you really come into the region, you find that there is so much differences, so much diversity, even within the northeast region.
That's right.
I'm not sure that a uniform education system is something that would answer the kind of challenges that we are facing today.
Let me move to Itanagar. Mr. Khan, welcome to our program.
Thank you.
The initial opening remarks on this, what are your initial thoughts on this?
My opening remark is that uniform education system in Northeast at par with the center. It's quite significant that over the passage of time, it has been really painful for Northeast Indians that we could not yet in many ways reach up to the standard that is available in big cities along mainland India. And this is the reason that students from Northeast every year in huge number, large number, they migrate to big cities India in quest of better quality education. But uniform education policy and system in Northeast can be devised because there is affinity, there is similarity among the people living in different states under Northeast. So this uniform education policy in Northeast at par with the center is call of hour, is call of time, and we can certainly have this.
This is two different views and very welcoming for a discussion of this nature. Let me move to our Gangtok studio, and we have Mr. K. Inbaraj. Mr. Inbaraj, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Wonderful. You are aware of the topic of discussion today. I would like to listen to your opening remarks on this topic.
Thank you. And as the topic says, this is uniformity of education in Northeast. As the other panelists also, they are saying, even within Northeast also, it's not able to achieve the uniformity because the terrain is different and the culture is different. So even within Northeast also, certain things it's not getting matched with the other parts of the Northeast. But if you are going in pan-India movement, the standards nowhere we are matching because of, again, the accessibility to the other pan-India regions also, we can say. Because then we are trying to, as the other panelist was also mentioning, when we are going to other parts and then we're seeing our own people, then we are getting identified. But when we see the other people, we are not able to still mix up. And maybe certain reasons would be there from both the sides. This is one aspect. And in the point of education, again, why we are not able to match up means the state institutions are very less in Northeast, which are developing, whether it is teacher education institutes or other higher institutes. That is also less in Northeastern area compared to other regions of India. This is another reason. And one more aspect is there regarding the board, school education board. Most of the Northeastern states, they are following CBSE board, whereas other states in across India, they are having their own board. So this is also one hurdle which is there, which is not allowing us to match the standards of rest of India.
But isn't that contradictory?
Yeah.
If we are following CBSE board, that is a central board, which major parts of the so-called central and India is following, then if a state like Sikkim is doing so and does not have a state board, then shouldn't Sikkim really be at par with the center?
This is absolutely your question. But the problem is even the infrastructure which is available with other part to match up the syllabus or the curriculum of CBSE, that's not available in Sikkim now.
I see.
So getting developed, maybe it will take some time. But as of now, these are some of the hurdles which we could not match with other parts of India.
We'll come back to you. Let me move to Agartala and let's get the first reactions from Agartala. Mr. Shubhashish Chowdhury, Deputy Secretary, Tripura Board of Secondary Education, is with us at our Agartala studios. Sir, can you hear us?
Yes.
We just want to listen to your opening remarks on this topic of discussion today.
Yes, it is a good topic. Regarding uniform education policy in the system of education or system of exam, there is two parts.
Correct. I just want your general comments. Is this a good idea or is it a workable idea or no, it's a bad idea, we should not go forward with this?
I want to talk about the syllabus, which board does. We also following the same syllabus, which may be contact with the all over India. From the very beginning of the board, Tripura, we are following the syllabus, which is at par the center. From 76, Tripura board has started autonomous board, which actually in our Tripura, maximum people are in Bengali language. You know it very well. There is some problem regarding this syllabus because we are studying in Bengali and all of the syllabus translate in Bengali in various subjects. Nowadays we are framing the new syllabus also of which is framed by NCERT. Students are asking us, are you going to CBSE syllabus? I am always telling them it is not CBSE syllabus. It is the NCERT syllabus. Syllabus is framing by NCERT.
Dr. Sherry, you did not agree to quite having a uniform kind of a system in the whole Northeast, and there are others that feel that, well, this is a good idea. You see, they have put their arguments, you have been listening to them. When we talk of uniform education system, what does that system include? When do we say that, yes, we have been able to bring in uniformity? What are all those things that come in the system of education where the disparities lie and therefore we are not being able to say it is uniform? Can we enumerate some of those areas?
I'm guessing that this whole topic has kind of emerged because we're looking across the country, the pan-Indian scenario, looking at, for example, places like civil services or other very competitive areas where we have a comparatively lower percentage of people from the Northeast, right? But coming back to your question, I'm thinking that, even if we kind of think in terms of a uniformity, let the uniformity be in terms of the standards that are maintained, but not in terms of the actual content. I'm not sure if I'm addressing a question, but what comes to mind is that as long as a person, for example, a child, a student, is judged on his awareness or cognizance of certain aspects of, let's say, Mughal history, or, that's just an example, but something that, that's been drilled to him from the textbooks. But which he has no actual connection with. A person in a village in Mizoram, for instance, who reads about these things, who has at best an illustration of, some old fort or some old building or some practice that he actually reads about as something of a fairy tale almost.
I get your point. What you're referring
and
to...
So, just to come back, we were talking about the differences between the states across India and even the Northeast region, right? So even if we think in terms of having a uniform standard, let it be with the standard, like I was saying, but keeping in mind the local uniqueness, the local differences,
Exactly.
the cultural differences. Yes,
absolutely.
The nuances have to be there.
Right. I'd like to go back to Itanagar. Mr. Khan, you just said this is the need of the hour. But my question to you, sir, is when we say uniformity in education, I'm thinking aloud, what are those aspects in which we could have uniformity? Even when the syllabus is the same, we can have different textbooks. Then again, we might say that this is not uniform. So, on the one hand, the syllabus must be the same. On the other hand, the textbooks being followed also must be the same then. Then, of course, there is this problem of the language of instruction. Are we saying that even that should be uniform? Then there is this question of question paper pattern. Should that be uniform as well? The evaluation standards. There have been a lot of discussion on evaluation standards across boards, and we will open that up little by little. Okay, let's look at these 5 points initially. Syllabi, textbooks, language of instruction, question paper pattern, evaluation standards.
Let us begin with the syllabi, your first point. Syllabi, actually, the NCERT syllabi is followed by most schools, not only in Northeast, even in mainland India, in the state, even there also, private schools quite in good number, and they follow NCERT syllabi. Similarly, say case of Sikkim or Arunachal Pradesh or whichever state in Northeast does not have own education board as of now, they all follow NCERT syllabi.
That's right.
But education system in Northeast at par with center can be devised. Here I mean that though NCERT syllabi textbooks are quite standard, but over the years we find that they need further modernization in many ways to cater the growing needs. Today we have information
Do you also agree?
technology.
Do you also agree
Advancement
to
is there.
Sir? Do you also agree to what?
With changing needs, changing requirements, we should constantly continue updating our syllabus. Otherwise, NCERT textbooks, NCERT syllabus that is followed by almost all schools in Arunachal Pradesh as well as in all those states of Northeast where there is no state education board.
That's
but
right.
my one friend pointed out that in mainland India, this CBSE board is not followed. That's not right. Actually, even in mainland India, say Tamil Nadu, Kerala or Andhra Pradesh or Uttar Pradesh, wherever state education board exists, even in those states, in those parts of the
absolutely.
country,
There are schools following
there are
CBSE syllabus.
thousands of such schools
Yes.
which are following NCERT syllabi, NCERT textbooks, and even the exams conducted by CBSE board,
That's right.
especially private schools.
Absolutely.
Even government schools like Kendriya Vidyalayas, not only in Northeast, all over India, even in some foreign countries, Kendriya Vidyalayas are there, and they follow NCERT syllabi, NCERT textbooks, and CBSE conducts examination.
I get
the
your
board,
point, sir. Thank you.
CBSE.
To
So
back
in
up.
Northeast uniform education system, this does not mean that we will go apart from, totally away from our own NCERT syllabi or textbooks. Rather, we will follow that. But one paper, additional paper, or at least some chapters on all states of Northeast should be incorporated. And there I mean uniform education system in Northeast. Say for students of Arunachal Pradesh, they are to know first about the culture of Arunachal Pradesh. Students of Tripura, they are to know about Tripura. Students of Sikkim, they should know the cultural heritage of Sikkim and also about tourist places and other important segments. Same about Mizoram. In this context, we can develop uniform education system by incorporating some important features of Northeast region in our syllabus as additional chapters or additional paper for students of Northeast.
Right. Thank you, sir. Let me move to Gangtok.
Next point was?
Just a minute, sir.
About
Let me move to Gangtok.
About evaluation. About examination pattern, uniform, like today, CBSE
can you hear me,
following uniform pattern
Mr.
almost
Khan?
For all parts of country.
Mr.
And
Khan,
there
can you
won't
hear
be
me?
Problem for assessment, for evaluation, because clear-cut guidelines are furnished, criteria are framed for evaluation of answer scripts in all such schools that follow CBSE board.
Let me move to Gangtok for a moment,
Okay.
and then we'll come back to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Mr. Inbaraj, can you hear me there? Joint Director?
I hear you. I could hear you.
Wonderful, sir. You've been listening to this discussion and what the other panelists have been contributing. My contention is this, that when we talk of uniformity in education, there are a few aspects. Unless we get those uniform, we cannot talk of uniformity. Those differences, those disparities will still remain. And therefore, is it feasible to have one single board for the Northeast that takes advantage of this cultural closeness, as we say, within the diversity, or the special needs of the Northeast, because the needs are different from the rest of the country, takes advantage of this situation and caters to the children of the Northeast? Unless we have these particular aspects looked at, can we say it is uniform?
So I got your point now. As the earlier panelist was also mentioning, that we are all following NCERT syllabus only. Board of Arunachal, or it is Sikkim, or it is Tamil Nadu, the state boards also, the syllabus is almost aligned with the NCERT syllabus. Becomes the problem is the next 2-3 points which you have mentioned, that is first is textbooks. So textbooks, several publishers, they are bringing it. Earlier we were also procuring the books from outside Sikkim.
Right.
But now what we have done is we have designed our own textbooks, at least in elementary section, so that you can introduce the students the culture of the local as well as the tradition, everything they are habituated to it. So a good base is developed in the elementary level. When they come for higher levels, then they can follow the NCERT books, which we can make it as uniform. This is one aspect in which we are differing. Sometimes we are bringing books from outside. Even the names are also not familiar. The name which is spelled over there in Delhi, which may not be familiar with Sikkim context. At least the elementary level, some freedom should be there to design the textbooks and then to introduce the topics. And you are mentioning now, at least among Northeast, some of the cultural aspects should be known to every other state. So in the elementary level, if it is brought over there, then later on it will be easy to design the common syllabus or uniform method of education over there.
My question then is, isn't education all about widening horizons and removing ethnocentricities? While I agree with you that a child should know his own culture, but we also encourage the child to know cultures beyond his own borders. Otherwise, education does not open up his mind.
So here, Samagra Shiksha, they have come up with a very good idea of pairing with other states. Nowadays, they are doing means we are pairing with other states. So we used to learn the culture, we used to get the tradition, and students, they are motivated to learn by themselves. Instead of pushing it, they are exchanging their ideas and learning. That creates a larger impact to the students. So that is happening under Samagra Shiksha scheme now. Of course, Sikkim now we are pairing with Telangana. You can see completely different contrast cultures.
Right, I've read that in the newspaper.
Yeah, so they also enjoy it. Even Manipur students, they came to Sikkim, and our students, they went to Manipur. So this way we can widen. We are not restricting only within Sikkim. And we are learning about Manipur also. We are learning about Telangana also.
Well, and you say that the children are enjoying it and they are learning on their own.
Yeah.
Then again, it actually counters the argument that there is a requirement for uniformity in the Northeast, and present system that exists is probably not catering to. Otherwise, why should this question come up?
That's correct. So that's why I told uniformity, at least in the primary or the elementary level, it will be very difficult. So first you give a very good strong footage for the students, then they will wide open to everything to accept it. Initially itself, if you are going for a uniform standard of education, even in the primary, syllabus is same, but how you are achieving it, at least that much liberty should be given up to elementary level.
Including the language of instruction.
Yes, of course.
Okay.
And even in northeastern states, what is happening means, in some places still we could not go for local language. If you are taking Sikkim context, we are having near about 21 languages. So we are following English medium. This is also one problem which we are facing, because the student will be more acquainted with the mother tongue rather than with English. And it also needs other infrastructures, human resource like teachers, those who are very well trained in English. So these are some barriers which we are facing.
But while you say that it is difficult to find teachers who are trained in English, isn't it also true that most of the people coming out of the system in Sikkim have all gone through the English medium of instruction?
They have gone through English medium of instruction, that is correct. Earlier stage itself, they are going English medium of instruction. So that is why the understanding or the concepts are not clear to them also. So we have to train the teachers more and more, which lagging behind.
Training is an issue in the entire Northeast. That I agree with you. I am myself involved in that. So I have first-hand experience of that.
Yeah, even the training institutes number also very less for us. If you are taking for the Sikkim, SCRT is there, and then if you are going for teacher training institutes, 3 institutes only are there in the primary level and 1 for graduate level.
Okay, let me move to Aizawl again, and I want to talk to Dr. Sherry one more time. Dr. Sherry, this is an interesting thing that is going on. Here are 2 states in the Northeast, Sikkim and Itanagar, Arunachal Pradesh, who do not have their... Can you hear me, Dr. Sherry?
Yes, now
Wonderful.
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah. So I was saying, here is an interesting situation. We have 2 states, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh, who do not have state boards, who have directly adopted the CBSE syllabus, and they have simply implemented the CBSE syllabus, the CBSE style completely. And then the question arises that it is already at par with the center.
Right.
And then why does this question at all come up of uniform education system in the Northeast at par with the center? On the one hand, it is that.
Yes.
On the other hand, is these other states like Meghalaya, which has its own board,
Right.
Mizoram, which has its own board, right? Nagaland probably, which also has its own. Tripura has its own board. So, and all these boards have their own success stories. It doesn't have to be that only students coming out from the board at the center or
CBSE
at par of the
yes.
center are doing well. Students from
Right,
state boards are doing
absolutely.
equally well and competing at the national level. So you
Well,
might be having
yes.
your own first-hand experience in this.
Well, what comes to mind is that, right now, although we're talking about a uniform board and things of that sort, I think it goes beyond that. See, we have examples of states that have their own boards, and also examples of states who have kind of directly, as you said, joined the central board. And we've had our own measure of success. We've had our own number of failures as well, right? So I think behind all of this is the very important question of certain ground realities that have to kind of be in place. When we're talking about whether we adopt a uniform system or not. So, for instance, as our friends before have already mentioned, questions of infrastructure, human resources, cultural reasons, and even, something, for example, in the case of Mizoram, the very fact that we are such a monolingual state is something, whether no matter how many English medium schools you have, when you have nowhere to practice your English outside of the school, for instance.
Okay.
These are certain realities where everybody just speaks Mizo, basically, even the non-Mizos. So these are an infrastructure, like I was saying, and many other things that have been pointed out. So what I'm trying to say over here is that yes, maybe a uniform structure would work, maybe it wouldn't work. personally believe that we should still err on the caution, on the side of caution. But whatever we adopt or don't adopt, the structure has to be in place, the infrastructure has to be in place, certain things have to be in place. We need trained teachers, like you have pointed out. We need, the facilities. We look at schools in Delhi, for instance, or Bangalore. There is so much difference in the kind of facilities that are provided to the students. I personally have been to most of the states in the Northeast. I know for a fact that whether they have joined, the central board or the state board, the syllabus itself, for instance, the syllabi itself, they're not bad. And Shillong has some of the best schools, for instance. Gangtok, for that matter, Sikkim has very good schools, and many other states as well, I can imagine. The thing is that, government schools, for instance, have to be better than private schools.
Exactly.
That's where,
so
the
that takes me to my
lies.
next question and my last
Yes.
question. We have just about 2
Right.
minutes. My question is on uniformity. Who should play the role? Let me move to Itanagar. Mr. Khan.
Actually, all the stakeholders, government, and then the private players also should come together and collaborate to play an important role. But here I would like to go back to language of instruction. In a state like Arunachal Pradesh, which is multilingual society, and we have 26 major tribes, and each major tribe has its own distinctive dialect. So for here, we cannot make one medium of instruction, one language we cannot use for even elementary or primary level. It will vary from tribe to tribe.
Exactly.
However, English can be medium of instruction from
which is
middle
common.
level onwards for all over the northeast region.
And
Yes,
let me
sir.
just last go to Gangtok, Mr. Inbaraj.
No, as it was mentioned by the earlier panelist, it should be a collective responsibility because the stakeholders of education is both from private as well as from the government, but the major part has to be played by government.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful talking to each one of you. And I hope there has been some concretization of ideas through this discussion and what are the beliefs and thoughts that, in this entire Northeastern region on uniformity and education in the Northeast at par with the center. Thank you very much for joining us in this program.
Thank you.